It's about that time.
Hello and welcome to City Views. We're here today at the Torringford Fire Department Car Show. I'm Jacque, your host, and we want to take this opportunity to thank the sponsor of City Views, Toth Insurance Agency, located at 1151 East Main Street. Better protection, better value. I have two people here with me today who have been instrumental in pulling off this car show, especially in the pandemic of the coronavirus. So I have Matt and Kaylin with me this afternoon. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good.
We're doing good.
And I don't know about you guys, but I am glad to see so many people here this afternoon for this car show.
Yeah, we are actually surprised of how quick we filled up this area, and we appreciate the support from everybody from this community and from outside of our community as well.
Well, I think it's very appropriate considering how many car shows this year have been canceled, and to be able to organize this particular time, I think is a credit to your organization.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, normally we do ours earlier in the year, but unfortunately we pushed it back, for safety, because as a safety organization, we have to be, accountable for ourselves too.
Yeah.
So that's why we
Absolutely.
pushed it back, so yeah.
Absolutely. Well, talk to us a little bit about the history of the Torringford Fire Department, and you just educated me on the fact that Torringford also has a police department.
Well, it's a fire police.
But talk to us a little bit about how that works.
What the fire police do for our area is we go out and we assist the police department or the fire department for closing roadways. For instance, wire down, tree downs, hazmat incidents, car accidents, fires like that where hoses have to go across the road. We get brought in and we assist with the police department to relieve them so they have other duties they can do, like get bad people and like that, get them on the streets. Well, we can just come in and direct traffic. For the state of Connecticut, when we're on scene, we're actually automatically equal to a police officer for the state of Connecticut. So we have equal powers when we're on scene with them. So we just assist them with that. And
Awesome.
we get called in just like a firefighter does. We have first responder training and everything like that too. So.
You got CERT training too?
Yeah, we get certified through the Connecticut State Fire Police Association. We're certified through them, and they do the whole entire state of Connecticut, and we're looking for more people to help out with that and join with that too.
So you heard that. They're looking for more people.
We're always looking
right?
for more people.
This is an opportunity. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. So you talk to us about the other half, Kate.
Yeah, so like fire police, we have a fire side too, completely volunteer as well. We get called out just like fire police. If there's a structure fire, bad accident, they'll be the first ones to respond typically. Like fire police, we have weekly trainings as well. If you want to continue trainings, people can go to fire school to become an interior firefighter, put in for an officer position, things like that.
And that is a great way to give back to your community. Something that you can even incorporate into your overall career development plans if you so choose to have a career in emergency management crisis.
Yep.
So to know that those opportunities are out there, I'm sure, is a value to our listening audience. But talk to us a little bit about, this is your first year working on the car show.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about your experience in putting this together.
So this is the first car show with the fire department I've been involved with. Today so far, I've been mainly working the donation table as cars have been coming in and out. Asking for donations. We didn't charge an admission fee this time. So just any support we can get for our fire department is greatly appreciated.
Absolutely. And let's just be honest. The work that you guys do sometimes goes unnoticed and unappreciated until we actually do have, an emergency situation that takes place. So I think events like this are helpful reminders to the community that you guys are out there and that you're there for a reason, and public safety is important. to keep communities strong and vital going forward.
Exactly. I mean, that's why our slogan for our department is neighbors helping neighbors.
Yeah.
Because we are your neighbors in your community, and we go out of our way to actually help and make sure everybody stays safe. And that's all we're trying to do.
Yeah.
And that's why when we close roads like that, we know it's an annoyance and like that. But most upfront is that we have to make sure that you're safe. And that's all we're trying to do.
And people need to understand that, coordinating these efforts on the fly sometimes is quite the challenge.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need the community to coordinate with you, to give you the information that you need to save lives ultimately at the end of the day.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
So I want to thank you for taking time out to talk to our City Views audience today. I'm sure that they've learned some helpful information just about how they can help in their own communities to be more active and aware, and also how they can get out there and actually participate and get involved as well.
Yep. Well, we do have a website.
Torringfordfire.org.
Yep. Torringfordfire.org. We also have a Facebook page as well. You can go on there. If you're more interested, please just let us know. We're always looking for more people to help.
That's fantastic, super. And before we go, I just thought that we might do a little shameless plug here for your boys at ESPN, right?
Okay.
We're getting together, getting ready to put the interview together, and and he's like, "Oh no, let me help you do this." Oh, wait a minute, is he trying to take over here or what? But no, we love ESPN, and we love the fact that someone here from our local community is involved with that prestigious organization, and we definitely want to wish you the best in all your endeavors.
Well, on that topic, the hours I put in for our department,
Yes.
I do over 150 hours of community service, sometimes around 200 hours a year of community service for our community.
Right.
And because I do over 150 hours, ESPN will donate $2,000 to our department to help with our department and to back me up for helping our community. So they do help.
That's what I'm talking about, okay? Now, I don't care how you slice it, okay? It's all about community.
Yes.
So let's keep our community strong, let's keep them together, and let's continue to support our first responders, our CERT teams, our local police and fire departments that put their lives on the line each and every day for the safety and health of our communities. You guys stay tuned. We got more good stuff coming at you from City Views. I'm Jacque Williams. We'll be right back. City Views. Hello, my single, We the People, drops today. Help me help our food pantries feed the hungry. I'm giving you We the People for free that you can check out on all the streaming platforms, and you can help me feed the hungry. And go here and purchase the single, We the People. 50% of all the sales from the proceeds of We the People will go to help in that cause.
It's about that time.
And now I want to take this opportunity to introduce you to Mr. Rick Perigo. And Rick is one of the main reasons why we're so excited about our collaboration with the Northwest Area Chamber of Commerce for our new segment entitled Chamber Views. We'll be focusing on small businesses and entrepreneurs who are thinking outside the box to make their businesses happen. Rick, thank you so much for taking time out to talk to us.
Appreciate it.
Here today at the 22nd annual Torringford Car Show. Rick, you invited me down for the festivities and the occasion. I had no idea it was going to be like this, man.
It's off the hook, isn't it? Look
Totally.
at the cars. Look at the people.
And you've been packed all
All day.
day.
All day, man.
And the reason why I wanted to talk to you, Rick, and introduce you to our audience is because you're an example of what small businesses are doing in the time of coronavirus.
Correct.
To reinvent themselves, to innovate, and to make ends meet by using this.
Using this.
Rick, talk to our audience a little bit about the inspiration and motivation that prompted you into making this serious business decision.
Well, as a lot of people know, I've been in construction for 30 years, not getting any younger, and I've always loved cooking. And these are the thing of the new age, food trucks, popular. And I picked a seafood truck because there's not very many out there. So I tried to target a market that people around here needed.
Yeah.
And it's been really doing well.
That's what I call being smart and flexible.
Amen.
And
even through the winter, I'm going to run. People can pull up. I'll come out, take their order. They can call ahead.
Yes.
They don't even have to get out of their vehicle. I'll just bring the food right out, do everything so they can stay nice and warm and stay busy.
And that's why, Rick, we want to help you however we can here at City Views by getting the word out about your business endeavors. So talk a little bit to us, Rick, about how people can contact you and how they can get your services.
Well, they can reach me on Facebook, or they can call my phone, 860-309-5475. Facebook, it's under Surf's Up Seafood. And there's going to be an Instagram page coming pretty soon. I'm in the midst of doing that. Trying to target the social media network, I guess. I'm not much about all of it, but I got people that'll do it for me, man.
Well, I think that's part of being a successful entrepreneur. It's not only knowing what you got to do, but it's knowing how to delegate what others got to do, right?
Exactly. Amen, brother. Amen. I can't do this on my own, that's for sure. I got a good crew of girls, and things have been pretty busy, and, it looks like people need me right now.
Right.
They're calling me in my trailer.
Well, Rick, we're so glad that you took the time out to talk to our audience. We know that your time is very valuable, but I'm sure that our audience will appreciate the fact that they've gotten to know you a little bit better and that maybe that they can contact you for your services.
That's awesome. I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother.
Jacque, thank you very much.
No problem. No problem.
Nice meeting you, friend. I got to go to work. Thanks, guys.
You guys stay tuned. We got more good stuff coming at you on City Views.
It's about that time.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of City Views. We are so happy today to be able to have a conversation with the Honorable Mayor Elinor Carbone. And we're going to be discussing a few different topics with her. But before we get started, we want to take this opportunity to thank the sponsor of City Views, Toth Insurance Agency, located at 1151 East Main Street. Better protection, better value. Make sure you call Steve and the crew and check them out. In the meantime, the Honorable Mayor Elinor Carbone, how are you this afternoon?
I'm well. Thank you, Jacque. It's always a pleasure to be able to join you and your City Views audience.
Well, it's been a while since we've talked, and so much has happened that we thought it would be a timely opportunity to update the City View audience as to some of the good things that are going on in the city.
Agreed.
So obviously, Mayor, the number one topic on the agenda has to be the situation with the coronavirus. Obviously, we're in a situation where there is a spike happening, not only here locally, but nationwide as well. I want to commend you and your administration on doing a fairly good job at deploying resources in an effective manner to keep our community as safe as reasonably can be. A lot of that responsibility does fall on us as citizens, but I think that you've definitely held up your end of the bargain. But talk to our audience a little bit about some of your strategies, some of your preparedness issues, and some of the things that you think that they should be aware of so that we can defeat this virus together as a community.
No, thank you for the opportunity share some of the information that we have. You know, this is one of those situations since March when we were first hit with this virus. We have been in daily communication with our partners at the state, whether it was the governor's office, the Department of Public Health, the Commissioner of Education, or through their emergency operations centers. On the local level, weekly, we have held meetings with department heads, the Board of Education, administrative offices, and through our emergency management operations office. And our emergency management directors, Chief Peter Towie and Chief Bill Baldwin, established a joint information center that also included a strategy for informational weekly. We're going to bi-weekly now, informational sessions where every department in the city is brought into a Zoom meeting just to gauge where everybody is. And of course, none of this is really, it doesn't work unless we're then communicating this back out to the public. And that's where organizations such as yourself, as a news organization, our radio stations, our newspapers, and even social media have come in very handy to get that information out and to remind people that the only way to control the spread of this virus is to socially distance, wear your masks, wash your hands, and watch how closely you are standing next to each other. Until the vaccine shows up, that's the best that we can do. And I have to commend Torrington because they have been pretty phenomenal at doing this.
Now, there are stations that you're setting up throughout the city for people to, get tested and whatever concerns that they may have. Can you go over that a little bit with our audience, please?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So what do we know? We know that right now, the second wave, we're seeing that the illness is not quite as, the symptoms are not quite as prevalent, they're not quite as severe. So we're finding that a lot of people are experiencing very mild symptoms or no symptoms at all, and yet they then become a vehicle by which the virus is spread. So the state on the whole established the need to test as many people as they can, as frequently as they can. So the testing stations that have been established are our partners at Hartford Healthcare, Community Health and Wellness, and of course the pharmacies that have also stood up testing centers. We want there to be a level of confidence that the earlier you know that you are you have the virus, the easier it is for you to isolate yourself and stay away from the rest of the public so that that doesn't become part of the spread, part of the social bubble spread that then filters out into the greater community.
Now, I know that there are some changes that are being made in the state in terms of what those occupancy levels are for various restaurants and those issues. Can you briefly go over that with our audience, please?
Yeah. All along, since March, our primary concern is for the business community. I mean, not first and foremost for everybody's health, but obviously the business community, which has been so significantly impacted. With these new guidelines, our restaurants are looking again at less than 50% in occupancy inside their restaurant dining rooms. There is still a very big push to have diners outside if they can possibly be outside comfortably. Gathering size, crowd sizes are limited to 10 indoors. Outdoors, they are looking at under 50. We are obviously trying to monitor all of this so that none of these businesses are put in a position where enforcement then becomes a hurdle for them to continue their operations through what is traditionally probably their most lucrative time of year.
Yeah, it's definitely tough for them out there. And Mayor, we're running into that situation too, where the weather is going to play even more of a factor in all these issues that are taking place. Can you talk to us a little bit about preparations that are being made for when those extreme temperatures hit, and how some of these processes might even be interrupted because of the weather patterns?
So here in the city, what we know is with the restaurants that are still relying so much on their customer base to support them, whether they've pivoted to a takeout menu and utilizing apps that continue to provide customer service. Outside dining is certainly not easy. We've had a couple of nice days, but they're few and far between. So obviously we want to try to find a way to bring people downtown comfortably in a way that they spend a little bit of time outside, and then maybe once they're out, they find a way to patronize some of those restaurants and cafes that so desperately need their business. So we're part of our long-term recovery plan has been to remind people that these businesses only exist and are sustainable if the community is supporting them.
So with the weather changes that will be taking place, obviously that's going to affect a lot of our homeless population as well. The preparations that you're looking into for taking care of that situation, how do they look going forward?
Obviously, again, we're looking at this weather, monitoring it daily. We see temperatures that dip to the 20s overnight. It does become very scary for us. With sheltering of the homeless, the populations in the homeless shelters had to be decompressed. So while this was happening mostly in the springtime, the decompression was done on the state level, where hoteling of the homeless people or people that had to be displaced from a homeless shelter was part of the protocol. In the summertime, our homeless population seems to be more inclined to stay outside. The weather is not terribly uncomfortable for them. However, we're going headstrong into the winter, into those freezing evenings, and the requirement to decompress our homeless shelters and to provide safe overnight accommodations that guarantees social separation is a challenge. For the last 8 weeks, we have been working on finding a location that is large enough to accommodate the number of homeless people that we are anticipating may need to be served, and finding those accommodations that also will provide opportunities to be able to isolate any individuals that may be presenting symptoms or may be struggling with a diagnosis. So that has been moving along. I received word this morning that it looks like the lease is in its final stages. Our goal was to get this up and running by December 1st, and my fingers are crossed that we will meet that deadline. I have to say, in prior years, Operation Overflow always functioned. It was a volunteer organization. Their structure was just what volunteers were able to give of their time out of the kindness of their hearts, and the churches providing the space out of the generosity and kindness of their hearts. So in a pandemic, those options and opportunities are few and far between. So we really did need to take advantage of the CARES Act funding that came to establish this 7-day-a-week, 12 hours from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. opportunity for our community.
Well, it sounds like it's a very challenging situation and one that many, many communities are going to be facing. And definitely, the resources in our social services network are going to be stretched.
They are, and mostly it is the human resources that are stretched. So with CARES funding, with grant funding, there appears to be sufficient financial resources. Our local service clubs have also stepped up in a big way, providing a guarantee of donations should we need them. But it's those human resources. When you're dealing with a pandemic, there are, and usually the volunteers are older in age. They're disinclined to come out and spend the night when they really need to be home and keeping themselves safe. So I agree with you. It is challenging. And, Torrington is different. You look at those larger municipalities, Waterbury, Hartford, New Haven, they are a population of over 50,000 and they get federal funding to provide these kinds of social services. In Torrington, we don't receive those federal resources. We are relying on the kindness of donors, our social service agencies, and the service organizations that exist. So we're different, we're unique, and I'm proud of the fact that this community does that.
Well, it's always been my feeling that when the chips are down, Torrington steps up.
Torrington does. You're right.
So, Mayor, I think that we had a successful referendum challenge on the ballot a few weeks ago. And in your infinite wisdom, you chose to put this proposition on the ballot for the community to have a say in. And it looks like we're going to be marching forward with a new high school. Talk to our audience about your sentiments about that.
This is an exciting time. Nothing is more reassuring than to have your voting public vote on something of this magnitude. When I chose to break the tie and advance that referendum question to the ballot, my only hope was that, first and foremost, there'd be enough time for the voters to be informed. Second, I really wanted to make sure that we engaged the largest number of voters. I didn't want this thing to go out with 1,200 voters and it squeaked by with, a margin of only 1 or 2 votes. That certainly isn't a mandate of the community. And that third part B, that it did pass by a wide margin so that there was a clear message to the entire population that this was overwhelmingly something that the community wants. I can honestly say with this referendum, all of that occurred. I think it's exciting. I've already met with the superintendent and the business director to talk about how we keep this thing moving forward quickly, going through bonding, going through borrowing, and utilizing any resources that we have immediately available so it can keep moving forward.
Well, it is an exciting time when you think in terms of how to accommodate the growing population in Torrington right now, and to have the benefit of a new high school on the agenda, I think is an exciting step forward for the city, and will definitely, hopefully, attract people to the region who are looking to enhance the quality of life.
No, that's very well said. I was reading an article in yesterday's paper. Our school population continues to decline. I think they noted that we're down another 4% in student population for this year. But what do we know? We know that Torrington, since the pandemic hit, has been a destination for new property purchasers. We were 10th on the list of the location where there were the most mail forwarding to the 06790 zip code. So we want to make sure that if we're going to capture those families that are relocating to a smaller community where they may have a yard that their kids can play in, we want to make sure that we're offering them a full complement of great things in the community. And certainly a great high school would be one of those.
If you don't mind me sharing this with you, I think it's probably kind of ironic when we were working on the Working Cities Challenge. We were trying to come up with ways to attract people to.
The pandemic did not come up with that vision. It certainly didn't. No, you're right.
But one of the other things that I think that will be exciting for newcomers to the community is the Franklin Square project. That it's completed now, and it's definitely adding an artistic flair to downtown. Talk to our audience a little bit about how you feel about how that project is coming together.
Again, when you mention the Working Cities Challenge, so many things that we've been doing over the last 6 or 7 years has been engaging the public. Tell us what you want. Tell us what you need. What are your expectations for success as a community? So the Franklin Street Plaza was certainly one of those public opportunities. I think we had a total of 6 public informationals where the public were invited to come talk with us. We had a few of those public informationals over there on Franklin Street. And we listened to what the public was saying. What they want is they want a place that can be a social civic place where you can have congregations such as a Main Street marketplace, which can be a plaza marketplace. They want to have a place where music and arts are available. They wanted to have a place where a wine tasting or a beer fest could be held, which we can't do those in our city parks because of our ordinances. So I think we collected all of that information, distilled it to a design that meets that need, and then built a few extra provisions in there so that we could grow. It's designed to accommodate a farmer's market. I feel strongly our farmer's market should be in the center of Torrington where there's walkability. It's designed for those music festivals or street fairs. So I'm excited about it. It exceeded my expectations in execution. It's beautiful. The meditation labyrinth is a part of that in Patterson Park. Patterson Park, which was underutilized as a park, now becomes integral to the greenway, to the plaza, to the businesses, and to family uses. So I'm excited about it.
Well, Mayor, share with us why we have a little brief time here, because we still have businesses coming to downtown, and hoping that their time and investment here in our downtown is going to be fruitful for them in the long run. Talk a little bit about what your vision is going forward in terms of how you can incorporate these different interests to make sure that we come out of the coronavirus one step ahead of the game.
So that's all part of our long-term recovery strategy. I appreciate your asking that question. What do we know? We know that our brick and mortar will never be used the way that it was designed to be used 60, 70, 80 years ago. So looking at these spaces, looking at the people who own these spaces and working with them to find unique ways to create something that I keep referring or falling back to the phrase, an experiential retail, an experience. Kids nowadays, younger people nowadays, and even some of us retired folks or old enough to be retired folks, they're looking for the experience. It's not just going to a restaurant or going to a pub. You're looking for the experience. So my next steps looking forward over the next couple of years is to work with all of those landlords, work with those potential spaces, help them identify how can they be reused differently that still brings people downtown, supports a business, and makes the community feel good about the heart of their city.
Well, it certainly sounds like a vision that's viable, and one in which I think arts and culture can play a huge part in that. And in terms of how some of the plans are rolling out in terms of creating an arts and culture and tourism destination here in Torrington and the region, I think is one worthy of the endeavor. So, but there is one more thing that I think we should discuss before we go. There's a nice little event that is coming up on December 4th that I think the community would definitely take a lot of interest in. So would you mind going into a detail on that?
No, I appreciate that. So with Franklin Plaza, everybody kept saying, all right, so once it's completed, what next? What then? So Heather Rems from Sanctuary Yoga just really jumped into this thing with both feet, and she has embraced all the possibilities. On December 4th, she is bringing a festive on Franklin. This is a street fair with vendors, with music and performances. It is exactly what we envisioned would happen on Franklin Street. And if I may, from the day after Thanksgiving, that's Friday, November 27th, right through to Christmas, we have a number of events that we have occurring in the downtown area. Again, all designed to maintain social distancing, allow families to stay within their social bubbles, and yet remind them that Main Street and the core downtown area deserves their love and attention. The businesses that are hanging on by their fingernails through a pandemic deserve their love and attention. So on Friday, November 27th, we have a vintage department store window shopping stroll. We'll do the traditional lighting of the street lights and the co-park trees. We will not do those specific events that have people congregating in any one location. But we're encouraging everybody to come downtown, see the lights, walk Main Street, do the window stroll. We'll have a train display that is designed to replicate the Torrington train station. There'll be some performers in the windows, safely distanced. And then we end at Co-Park where the lights are on, the fire trucks are lit, and there will be hot chocolate and popcorn available. The next day, which is Small Business Saturday, we're also doing for families a story walk. And we will be featuring the book, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. This is a great way for families to combine reading with an outdoor activity. So the pages of the book are laminated and posted along Franklin Street. There will be music, and we even have a little mood snow with a snowflake machine providing a little activity. So, the thing of it is, we want people to come downtown. We don't want them to forget, where the heart of their city is. And when they're downtown, remind them to visit the businesses here. They all deserve our attention.
Well, thanks to Torrington's biggest cheerleader for providing great leadership during these very, very difficult times, and always putting one foot in front of the other for Torrington's progress. So thank you much.
No, thank you. And my gratitude goes back to, again, all of those various media, the news media, social media, the people that get these messages out and keep us all in communication. So my gratitude goes back to all of you. I do wish you a happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays.
Likewise, Mayor.
Thank you
much.
Jacque Williams here, your host of City Views, sponsored by Toth Insurance Agency, located at 1151 East Main Street. I'm here to remind you about our new platforms that you can watch City Views on. You can check us out on our YouTube channel at cityviews-ct, or you can check out our website at cityviews-ct.com. Torrington, can you believe it? Franklin Square is here, and what an opportunity to bring to you two of the fine members of this outstanding community. Ladies and gentlemen, the offspring of Fred Simon, Officer Rob Simon is here. He just drove up and said, hey, make me a part of this.
Yeah, that's what happened, yeah. It's exactly how it went down.
Yeah, something like that.
And we're going to be talking here momentarily with our re-elected state rep, Michelle Cook, with our segment, What's Cookin'? So we're glad to be here. Torrington, it's looking quite festive in the city, and we're looking forward to really making it happen for 2021. 2020, adios. But in the meantime, you guys keep your eyes and ears open for more good stuff coming at you from City Views.
It's about that time.
Hello, and welcome to our post-election segment of What's Cooking with 65th State District Rep Michelle Cook. So happy to be here this morning in Franklin Square. What more could we ask for than to have a conversation with our newly re-elected state rep? We want to take this opportunity to thank the sponsor of City Views, Toth Insurance Agency, located at 1151 East Main Street. Better protection, better value. Michelle.
Good morning, Jacque.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Now, I've waited for this conversation with you for weeks now.
We've attempted it a few times.
Unfortunately, some of the technical difficulties. When the technology works, it's great.
That's true.
But when it
doesn't,
yes,
it's not.
It makes life very, very difficult.
Yes, it does.
But before we get started, Michelle, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate you on your re-election. And it was definitely a difficult campaign in many respects. But I think that your candidate was a formidable candidate. I think Chris has a very bright future in politics. He comes from a great family. He's been serving the community for quite a while at a very young age. So I think that bodes well for us in this region in terms of how the future lies ahead for us going forward. But your experience obviously have appealed to the voters, and they chose to send you back to Hartford. So congratulations.
Thank you. It's an honor and a privilege. And, you know, for me, when you have, you know, you've been doing this job and you recognize the needs of the community and you try to give them everything that you have and then some, it is definitely humbling to be able to go back to Hartford and to be able to represent the constituents of our community and the residents of the state of Connecticut. So I want to thank everybody for their support, and I look forward to working with everybody for the next 2 years.
Well, it's going to be a challenging 2 years. Let's be honest, Michelle.
It will.
I believe that one of the reasons why you are getting sent back to Hartford is because obviously the coronavirus is causing major issues. And I was taking a look at a previous interview that we did when we were talking about the second wave. Mm-hmm. And as much as we wanted to avoid what the ramifications of that would be, it's real now. We're here.
It is, and it's a sad reality. You know, we were very fortunate in the first wave here in Torrington specifically, actually across the state. You know, our communities did not hit the chart of red. I believe about 90% of our communities in the state of Connecticut are red. As of today, and I know that this will air at a different time, you know, we have about 800 people in the hospital. You know, we have an ample amount of folks that are still struggling with employment. And at the same time, we see that our students are really still struggling with education and being able to maintain a consistent education inside their school building. You know, that truly breaks my heart. I think that one of the things that I am thankful for in this second wave right now is the fact that we haven't seen the serious outbreak in our nursing homes where we saw the first critical, intense tragedies happen across the state and across the country, quite frankly. But we are here, and I would just hope that as we roll into this holiday season, that folks recognize that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. We have 2 companies that have a 95% success rate with their vaccination. They're hoping to have some of that rolled out. You know, I pray that it's by the end of the year, but realistically, maybe it might not be until January. But at the end of the day, we know that that will be able to at least start helping our first responders, you know, fire, police, nurses, healthcare professionals, doctors, and the like. At the same time, I put teachers in that mix. You know, we want to get our students to be able to get back into school. Our teachers also have to be safe, and they also have to feel safe. I think that is a delicate balance, and they're also truly passionate about what they do. So if we can start that process, you know, hopefully we will be able to start moving forward. You know, speaking to our fire chief here in Torrington a day or so ago. You know, he says, I hope that we don't have to see masks until the next fall, but if we do, and that's what we have to do to save lives, and that's what we should be doing. And I think that that's actually accurate. You know, this is a very simple protection, and I would hope that people recognize that this is the least that we can do to be able to protect the community members. And maybe it's not us, but maybe it's the person next to us.
And let's touch upon the fact too, Michelle, that we can't be so self-absorbed that we forget or don't recognize the long-term ramifications to our healthcare workers. I mean, part of this is to help them.
Absolutely.
They get the pressure points that are built up. It burdens the system, and it drains the workers to the point where they can't effectively deliver the services that they need.
You know, it's that, and then it's more after that. You know, and I think that that's the one thing that every time that we have done our socially distant taping, you know, we have said very clearly, this is not about necessarily protecting you as much as it is about protecting somebody else. We might not know that we are an asymptomatic carrier, but at the end of the day, if I walk around in an area, whether, you know, we have to go to the grocery store, we need to put gas in our car. Some of us really need to go to work, especially those folks that are in the healthcare industry. What we can do as a community member is to protect ourselves from the virus, at the same time protect our community from the virus. I want to ensure that if you were the person that was walking into a nursing home, taking care of somebody, that I haven't put you in harm's way. If you were the person that's working at our hospital or in a doctor's office, I want to ensure that I'm not putting you in harm's way. And that's really about the community give back and stopping the community spread. And at the same time, if we all did that, we would also be able to keep our schools open and ensure that our students were able to get an education not in front of a screen.
I think it's important to realize too that we can't ruin the good in spite of the perfect. I mean, it's a situation where we're still understanding what this is all about. It's a novel virus. So as we're learning, as we're collecting data, then we can deal with it a little more effectively. But I feel that in a lot of ways, when people look to the United States in terms of how we deal with situations, they look to us to set that example.
They do. And, you know, we have often been looked up to. And at the end of the day, right now, there are other countries doing it better than us.
Right.
And I think that we cannot be so proud to say, let's not learn from somebody else. You know, I'm a true believer that why invent the wheel? Let's just make that wheel spin better. So, you know, if we recognize what has worked in other places, let's just do that. You know, we recognize that this is a real virus, you know, so we can kind of blow and flush that right out the window. This is real. People are dying from this real virus. It is a real virus that takes hold of individual people in a different way. It is something that is more highly contagious than we have seen most any other virus possibly in our lifetime. And I hope we don't ever have to see it again in my children's lifetime and then their children's lifetime. But I do think that what we should learn, it is truly about what we can do to change as a community.
There are those assessments, though, Michelle, that say that this could be the type of virus that has a reiteration every 6 months when the climate changes. So if that turns out to be a pattern, how do you fight that from a government perspective, from a legislative perspective?
You know, this goes down to self-discipline and self-responsibility. I don't want to be the person that's jumping into your kitchen table and telling you that you can't visit your family members. But that doesn't have to happen if we can all be socially distant and responsible. If I am willing to put on a mask and I'm willing to, you know, maybe not go inside the restaurant every night, but take out once, you know, and try to offset those things. that's part of this conversation. We need to keep our businesses open. It is a must. We recognize that, the revitalization of downtowns are so important for our communities. But if we don't have a healthy community that can keep those businesses open, we're defeating our purpose. We can legislate a whole lot of things. I know our governor has said the one thing he doesn't want to do is close schools, but he's also given some, responsibility to the local leadership to, so your superintendents and the boards of education to say what's best for your community, because we also recognize that not every community is exactly the same. We are in a situation where we're under an executive order, and that's a financial reason, quite frankly, for us to be able to access dollars and cents from the federal government. I think that's vitally important for people to really understand. And at the same time, we at the state legislature are also adhering to the same exact things that we're asking everybody else to do. We closed the state capitol in March. I believe it's March 13th, quite frankly, to where we have not been back in full-blown session except for twice, and we have done socially distant things to where we were able to vote from our office and not put 150 plus people into the well of the House. We have a session starting in January, and as we are asking everybody else to be socially distant, we are doing the exact same thing for ourselves. That becomes complicated when we are looking at a legislative body that is a building and a process for the people, by the people, of the people. How do we do that so all voices could be heard? Do we have to legislate at a different type of school year? Do we have to legislate different business hours? I would really hope that we don't have to do that we can work together to do that. The things that are going to fall back on us, though, how do we get a vaccination out in a timely manner, in an efficient, safe manner, to where those people that need what they need get it first, and then we work down accordingly. That'll be pretty much a lot of our charge. At the same time, it's going to be funding.
Now, Michelle, among your other challenges, you've been very involved with meeting the challenge of feeding the hungry during this pandemic. Talk to our audience a little bit about your efforts in that and how you see your challenges going forward.
Back in May, after the initial angst really came upon us, and we understood this is serious. We also recognized that so many people were out of work that what we ended up doing was, with the infinite wisdom of Karen Thomas down at Friendly Hands Food Bank, she started applying for a farm-to-table, friends-to-family type of a grant from the federal government that really partnered with our local, state, and national farmers to be able to ensure that they also were not being harmed as well. So what we were doing were weekly produce drops. We would rotate those. We would have a few across the street at the library parking lot. We had them at the middle school. We had them up at Doyle's. I can't thank all of our volunteers enough. In the meantime, I was CERT certified, the Community Emergency Response Team, to be able to help in a way that the community was protected, and then helped generate some other folks to be CERT certified. But every week we ensured that folks had boxes in their hand. And then recognizing too that our seniors who are in our housing complexes couldn't get out. They were afraid to go. And that makes complete sense. They were a population that we knew was going to be harmed in the most catastrophic way. We started delivering to them. So I would put 50 boxes of produce in my car with a few volunteers. I had Ed Corey and I had Travis, my daughter and my son and my husband, depending on who was home at the time. And, we would deliver to all of our senior housing complexes in town. We were, blessed enough a few times to be able to drop produce off to some of our nursing homes for the staff to be able to take home as they left. We did that at our hospital as well, because even though we were not necessarily at that age that we couldn't get out of the house, when you talk about our first responders, our caregivers, they were working a ton of hours, and they still are. And that puts an undue burden and stress on them as well. So it was such an honor to be able to meet so many people in a manner of which we might not have been able to meet with them, meeting new friends, and to be able to put food on their table. We recognize that there's been a low in the last few weeks because the the grant had altered, but I believe I got a text message yesterday that I'll be able to get, you know, some boxes over the next upcoming weeks, and I'll be able to go back and deliver again. You know, it's important, and with the pressures of not having employment, but still being able to put food on your table for your family members, especially the fact that it's produce, you know, that's important. And it's been a great opportunity. And all of my volunteerism got me on the advisory board of Friendly Hands Food Bank. So it's been a pleasure working with those folks as well and seeing the great work that they're doing down there on King Street.
Well, Michelle, I know you have an appointment in Hartford that you have to attend to. On a beautiful day like this, I could go on talking to you forever and a day. However, I know you got other responsibilities to attend to. But as always, we want to thank you for taking the time out to speak to our audience and sharing with them your insights and your passion for what you do and your love for the community that you serve.
Thank you. And if I can just do a brief plug for actually why I'm heading into Hartford. I'm on the governor's task force for nursing homes. As you know, I called for a statewide oversight of nursing homes back in April. We have done that. Mathematica has returned with their report. We have a group that is meeting every Thursday until the second week of January at 10 o'clock. That is streamed live on CTN. And then I am chairing the subcommittee on staffing levels, which is meeting every Monday at 3, which is also on CTN. My reason for bringing this up is so vitally important to our community and the residents of the state of Connecticut. We know we had significant loss of loved ones. If you have a story that you would like to share with this working group to help us make a difference, because I look at this working group as not the fix of what COVID has done to us, but a long-term fix on what COVID has taught us and what we need to do to improve our elderly care system in the entire state of Connecticut. And not just because of this, but a huge overhaul of how we do business. So I'm asking if anybody has a story that they would be willing to share of a loved one, you know, family, friend, neighbor, or the like, please send it over to my email. It is michelle.cook@cga.ct.gov. The only way that I can do my job effectively is by representing your stories effectively. So together we can make this a better place.
Now, see, I love to kind of brag a little bit, Michelle, because I often tell people that you have conversations that you come up that I remember you when. And I knew that you had a heart for service then, and that has not changed one bit over your tenure in office. And it makes me proud to not only be your friend, but also to be able to have this opportunity to share your views with the citizens and your constituents here in Torrington and the region. So once again, congratulations on your re-election, and we look forward to see what's cooking next week.
Absolutely. Turkey next week.
Ladies and gentlemen, 65th State Rep Michelle Cook here in beautiful Franklin Square. You guys, stay tuned. We got more good stuff coming at you right here on City View.
City Views.